Look, I know this is awkward. I can see it on your face. The way your shoulders went stiff when you walked in on me with my eyes doing that thing. The glow. The unnatural amber flicker that probably made you think of jack-o'-lanterns or warning lights or something equally unsettling. And yes, I suppose I should have been more careful about closing the bathroom door, but in my defense, I've been living here for 3 years and you've always been at work. During my morning routine. Schedules change, I get it. But here we are now and I think we should talk. Please sit down. No, really, I'm not going to hurt you. I know that's what they always say in movies right before something terrible happens, but I promise you, if I wanted to do something awful, I'd have done it already. You've been my neighbor for how long now? 8 months? And in that time, the worst thing I've done to you is finish the coffee without making a fresh pot, which I apologized for twice. The truth is, I'm a demon. Was a demon. Am a demon? The terminology gets complicated when you're talking about career changes in the infernal hierarchy. Let's just say I used to work in hell, capital H, and now I don't. I quit. Walked off the job. Handed in my resignation to a very surprised supervisor who kept insisting that damnation doesn't have a retirement plan. I can see you're processing this. Your eyes keep darting to the door. That's natural. Fighter. Flight and all that. But before you bolt, before you call a priest or an exorcist or your therapist, just hear me out. Because I think once you understand how I got here, to this cramped apartment with the leaky faucet and the radiator that clanks like someone's torturing a xylophone in the walls, you'll realize I'm probably the least threatening supernatural entity you could have living down the hall. Let me start at the beginning. Not the beginning because that would take us back to the formation of the universe and the whole angels falling from grace situation, which honestly gets tedious and involves a lot of cosmic politics that even I don't fully understand. My beginning. My employment in hell. I was assigned to the Department of Eternal Tedium. Yes, that's a real department. Hell has departments. Lots of them. It's not all fire and brimstone and people getting pitchforked for all eternity. I mean, there's some of that, sure, but that's mostly for show. The theatrical stuff. The parts that make it into paintings and literature and heavy metal album covers. The reality of hell is far more bureaucratic. The Department of Eternal Tedium was responsible for processing the souls who weren't quite evil enough for the dramatic punishments but weren't good enough to slip through on a technicality. Think of them as the middle management of the damned. People who cut in line consistently, who never tipped, who were rude to wait staff, who left their shopping carts in parking spaces. Small, persistent cruelties that added up over a lifetime. My job was to oversee their punishment, which mostly involved paperwork. Mountains of it. Forms in triplicate. Requisition orders for standard issue torment implements. Time cards that needed to be stamped every 4 hours. Performance reviews for the lesser demons who actually administered the tedium. It was, and I'm not exaggerating here, the most boring job in any realm of existence. Every day, I'd wake up in my assigned quarters, which looked like a studio apartment, designed by someone who had only ever seen apartments in depressing foreign films. Gray walls. A single window that looked out onto more gray walls. A hot plate that never quite got hot enough. A bed that was just uncomfortable enough to prevent deep sleep. And hell, even the employee housing is designed to wear you down. I'd put on my uniform, which was basically a suit that was always slightly too tight in the shoulders and too short in the sleeves. Black, of course. Everything in hell is black or red or that weird dark purple that looks like a bruise. I'd grab my briefcase, which was filled with forms that needed to be filed, and I'd head to work. The commute was its own special kind of torture. Crowded elevator. Demons packed in. Shoulder to shoulder, everyone avoiding eye contact, the smell of sulfur and stale coffee. Then a long walk through corridors that all looked identical. Gray walls. Flickering fluorescent lights. The distant sound of someone screaming, which you learn to tune out the same way. You tune out traffic noise in the human world. The office itself was an open floor plan. Cubicles as far as you could see. Each one containing a demon hunched over a desk, shuffling papers, typing on computers that ran on an operating system that crashed at least twice a day. The air was always too warm. The lighting was always too dim. Someone was always microwaving fish in the break room. The office itself was an open floor plan. Cubicles as far as you could see. Each one containing a demon hunched over a desk, shuffling papers, typing on computers that ran on an operating system that crashed at least twice a day. The air was always too warm. The lighting was always too dim. Someone was always microwaving fish in the break room. My cubicle was in the back corner. No window. A desk lamp that buzzed. A chair that squeaked every time I moved. A computer that took 15 minutes to boot up every morning. And an inbox that was always full. The work was mind-numbing. I'd receive a file on a soul. I'd review their transgressions. Assign them to the appropriate level of tedium. I'd fill out the paperwork explaining my decision. I'd submit it to my supervisor, who would review it, request changes, send it back. Make the changes. Submit it again. Wait for approval. Once approved, I'd file it in the appropriate cabinet, which required 3 different forms and a signature from the records department. Then I'd start on the next file. And the next. And the next. We had quotas. Process 50 souls per day. If you fell behind, you'd get a memo. Fall behind. Too often, you'd get a performance improvement plan. Fail to improve, you'd get demoted. And trust me, you didn't want to get demoted in hell. The jobs below mine involved actual lava. Lunch breaks were 30 minutes. You could eat at your desk or go to the cafeteria, which served food that was technically edible but tasted like regret. Everything was overcooked or undercooked or somehow both at once. The coffee was always lukewarm. The vending machines were always broken. I usually ate at my desk. A sandwich that I'd brought from home. The same sandwich every day because there was only one grocery store near my apartment and it only sold 3 kinds of bread and 2 kinds of lunch meat. I'd eat mechanically while reading through the next file, trying to get ahead of my quota. The afternoons were longer than the mornings. Time moves strangely in hell. Seconds stretch into minutes. Minutes feel like hours. The clock on the wall would tick forward so slowly you could almost hear it straining. By 3 o'clock, I'd feel like I'd been at work for 17 years. Meetings were frequent and pointless. We'd gather in a conference room that smelled like burnt popcorn and sit through PowerPoint presentations about process improvements that made processes worse. Synergy. Paradigm shifts. Thinking outside the box while leveraging our core competencies. The language of middle management is the same everywhere. Apparently, even in hell. My supervisor was a demon named Malacrux. He'd been in the department for 6,000 years. He wore the same tie every day, a red one with coffee stains that he claimed were part of the pattern. He spoke in a monotone that could induce sleep in an insomniac. Every sentence ended with, "So, yeah, if you could go ahead and do that, that'd be great." He'd wander by my cubicle randomly, lean against the partition, ask about my weekend, which was exactly like every other day except I didn't have to come to the office. Tell me about his weekend, which he spent organizing his collection of spreadsheets for fun. Remind me about the importance of staying on top of my TPS reports. Yes, hell has TPS reports. Didn't make that up. There were no holidays in hell. No vacation days. No sick leave. You worked 5 days a week every week forever. Well, technically 7 days a week, but they called 2 of them personal development days, where you were expected to attend mandatory training. Seminars on topics like maximizing misery through efficient form processing or advanced stapling techniques. The other demons were fine. Not friendly exactly, but not hostile. We were all in the same boat, or rather the same pit. We'd make small talk by the coffee machine, complain about our supervisors, share stories about the most ridiculous soul assignments we'd received. There was a demon named Zarathax who sat 3 cubicles over, and we'd sometimes have lunch together. He collected stamps from the mortal world. He'd spend his lunch break showing me his latest acquisitions, explaining the historical significance of a postage stamp featuring a duck. Looking back, I think that might have been the beginning of my awakening. Watching Zarathax get genuinely excited about duck stamps. The way his eyes would light up as much as a demon's eyes can light up when he'd talk about the printing techniques or the rarity of certain misprints. Here was a being designed for eternal torment, and he'd found something that made him happy. Something small and ridiculous and utterly human in its banality. I started noticing things after that. Little cracks in the facade of eternal damnation. A demon in accounting who hummed while she worked. Always the same song, something she must have heard in the mortal world during a collection run. A demon in records who doodled in the margins of his paperwork little flowers and geometric patterns. Nothing impressive, but the act of creation in a place designed for destruction. We weren't supposed to interact with the human world except during official assignments. Soul collections, temptations, the occasional haunting if requisition approved the request. But we'd all picked up things. Little habits. Human mannerisms. Words and phrases that had no meaning in hell but that we'd use anyway. That's awesome. Whatever. My bad. Language was how it started. The infection of humanity. I remember the exact moment I decided to leave. It was a Tuesday. I know it was Tuesday, because Tuesday was when we had our weekly team meetings, and I hated Tuesdays even more than I hated the other days. I was sitting in my cubicle, processing file number 43 of the day when I looked at the clock. It was 3:47 p.m. I'd been watching the clock a lot lately, counting down the minutes until I could leave, even though leaving just meant going back to my depressing apartment to eat a depressing dinner and stare at my depressing wall until it was time to sleep and start all over again. And something in me just broke. Or maybe it finally fixed itself. I don't know. But I looked at that clock, and I looked at the stack of files on my desk, and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. It wasn't a dramatic thought. There was no thunder crack or moment of divine inspiration. Just a quiet realization. I don't want to do this anymore. I stood up, packed my few personal items into a cardboard box, a coffee mug that said Hell's best employee that I'd gotten as a joke gift during a secret Satan exchange, a stapler that didn't jam as much as the office issued ones, a photo of, well, nothing actually. I didn't have any photos. What would a demon keep a photo of? I walked to Malacrix's office, knocked on the door. He looked up from his computer, surprised. No one ever knocked on his door voluntarily. I quit, I said. He blinked. You what? I quit. I'm done. I'm leaving. You can't quit. You're a demon. This is eternal. Watch me. And I walked out. Just like that. I expected alarms. Maybe some hellfire. A team of enforcers. To drag me back. But nothing happened. I walked through the office, past the rows of cubicles, past the demons who barely looked up from their work, past the break room with its smell of burnt popcorn and despair, and out the front entrance. The thing about hell is that it's not actually locked. They don't need locks. Where would you go? There's nothing outside hell except more hell. It's designed to be inescapable, not through barriers but through inevitability. Where else would a demon go? Well, I had an answer to that. Up. Getting to Earth wasn't as hard as you'd think. There are doors, passages, thin places where the membrane between worlds gets stretched. Most demons know about them. We use them for assignments. But we always come back because we're supposed to come back. It's the rules. I didn't come back. I stepped through a passage in an alley behind a convenience store in this city. It was raining. I'd never felt rain before. In hell, if there's precipitation, it's either blood or something worse. But this was just water. Clean water falling from the sky. It soaked through my suit in seconds. And I stood there like an idiot, face tilted up, letting it wash over me. Someone walked past. A human. They looked at me like I was crazy, standing in the rain with a cardboard box of office supplies, grinning like a maniac. They weren't wrong. That was 3 years ago. The first few months were rough. I didn't know anything about living as a human. I had a wallet full of currency that I'd manifested, which technically worked, but raised questions when anyone looked too closely at the bills. I didn't have an identity. No social security number. No birth certificate. No credit history. I slept in a shelter for a while. Figured out how to blend in. Learn. Humans are endlessly fascinating when you're not processing their eternal punishment. The way they interact. Their kindness to each other. Their casual cruelty. The way they can be both at once. Sometimes in the same moment. I got lucky. Met a guy at the shelter who knew a guy who knew a guy who could create documents. Not legal exactly, but functional. Suddenly I had a name, a history, a social security number that would hold up to basic scrutiny. I became Alex Morrison. Generic. Enough to be forgettable. The kind of name that doesn't attract attention. Finding work was easier than I expected. Turns out, centuries of processing paperwork in hell makes you extremely qualified for data entry. I got a job at a small accounting firm. They didn't pay well, but they didn't ask too many questions either. I showed up on time, did the work, kept my head down. No one noticed that I was slightly better at filing than any human had a right to be. I found this apartment through a listing online. It was cheap because it's old and the building has problems. The radiator, the faucet, the way the floors creak in the night. But it was mine. My space. I could close the door and be alone, truly alone, in a way I never was in hell. Learning to be human was harder than I expected. The basics were fine. Eating, sleeping, maintaining a body. But the details were murder. Figuring out what clothes to wear, how to make small talk, understanding social cues. I made so many mistakes in the beginning. I learned about grocery shopping by following people around the store and watching what they put in their carts. I learned about cooking by watching YouTube videos at the public library. I learned about paying bills by missing several of them and nearly getting evicted. Television became my teacher. I'd come home from work and watch for hours. Sitcoms, dramas, reality shows, cooking competitions, home improvement shows, nature, documentaries, everything. I absorbed it all like a sponge. The way people talked, the way they dressed, the things they cared about, their hopes and fears and ridiculous concerns, about whether their living room should be painted beige or cream. I discovered I liked cooking shows. Something about the precision of it, following a recipe, measuring ingredients, the transformation of raw materials into something edible. And how food was fuel barely. Here it was art. People made entire careers out of making food look and taste good. It was revolutionary. I bought cookbooks, cheap ones from thrift stores. I started simple. Scrambled eggs, grilled cheese. I burned a lot of food in the beginning. Smoke detector went off so many times my neighbors probably thought I was running a crematorium. But I got better. Pasta, stir fry, roasted vegetables. I learned that garlic makes everything better and that you can fix most mistakes with butter. There's something meditative about cooking. The repetitive actions. Chop the vegetables. Heat the pan. Add the ingredients in the right order. Watch them transform. It's the opposite of my old job. Instead of processing misery, I was creating something. Even if that something was just a mediocre pasta primavera. I started exploring the city. At first I was nervous, convinced someone would recognize me for what I was, but no one did. Humans are remarkably self-absorbed. They're too busy with their own lives to notice that the guy in line at the coffee shop is an actual demon. I found a coffee shop I liked. Small place. Run by a woman named Maria who had an accent I couldn't place and a tendency to give people extra pastries when she thought they looked sad. I went there every Saturday morning. Ordered the same thing. Large coffee, black blueberry muffin. I'd sit by the window and watch people walk by. That's where I learned about people watching. It's apparently a normal human hobby. You just sit and observe. The couple arguing quietly over whether to get a dog. The businessman on his phone lying about where he is. The teenager with headphones, lost in her own world. The elderly man feeding pigeons despite the sign that says not to. Everyone has a story. That's what I realized. In hell we reduce people to their worst moments, their sins, their failures. But here watching them I saw that they were more than that. They were complex, contradictory, capable of both tremendous kindness and casual cruelty. I saw a woman drop her groceries once. Bags split, apples rolling everywhere. 3 people stopped to help her. Complete strangers. No reward. No recognition. Just helping because someone needed help. That would never happen in hell. In hell someone would charge her a fee for picking up her apples. I also saw a guy deliberately knock a homeless person's cup of change over and keep walking. Saw teenagers mock an old woman for moving too slowly. Saw people be cruel for No reason other than they could. The duality of humanity. Angels and demons in the same skin. I got a library card. That was a big moment for me. Walking into the library, filling out the form, having someone hand me a card with my name on it. My fake name, sure, but still was proof of existence. Proof that I was part of this world, even if I didn't quite belong. I read everything. Fiction, non-fiction, history, science, philosophy, poetry. I never read poetry before. In hell, if anyone tried to write poetry, it would be confiscated and they'd be assigned extra paperwork duty. But here, people wrote entire books of poetry. And some of it was beautiful. Some of it made no sense. Some of it made me feel things I didn't have names for. I read a poem once about someone who felt like they didn't belong anywhere, like they were always on the outside looking in. I sat with that book for an hour, reading that one poem over and over. Someone understood. Some human long dead had felt exactly what I was feeling, and they'd written it down, made something permanent out of that temporary feeling. That's when I understood art. It's not about beauty, it's about connection. Seasons were strange. In hell, it's always the same temperature, always the same level of uncomfortable. But here, weather changes. Summer came first. Heat and humidity that made the city smell like hot garbage and desperation. Everyone complained about it, but I loved it. The sun on my skin, the way the air felt thick and alive. Then fall. Leaves changing color. Something about chlorophyll breaking down, I learned later. But watching it happen, the greens turning to reds and golds and oranges, it felt like magic. Trees dying in the most beautiful way possible. I walked through the park every day just to watch it happen. Winter was hard. Not the cold. I don't really feel cold the way humans do. But the darkness. The way the sun set at 4:30 in the afternoon. The way the city felt like it was shutting down, everyone hurrying home to hide from the weather. It reminded me too much of hell. The grayness. The endless, oppressive grayness. But then spring came. That was something. Watching things grow. Flowers pushing up through the ground. Trees budding. The city coming back to life. I planted a window box that first spring. Bought flowers from the hardware store down the street. Followed the instructions on the tags. Watered them. Watched them grow. Most of them died. I overwatered them or underwatered them or didn't give them enough sunlight. But a few survived. Little purple flowers that I later learned were petunias. They bloomed all summer. Every morning I'd water them and check their progress. It became a ritual. Evidence that I could nurture something instead of destroy it. I made a friend. Sort of. Guy named Tom who lived on the 3rd floor. We ran into each other in the laundry room one Sunday. He made a joke about the machines always eating his socks. I laughed. We started talking. Nothing deep. Just laundry room conversation. But then, it became hallway conversation. Then elevator conversation. He invited me to watch a football game once. I said yes even though I didn't understand football. Still don't really. But I sat on his couch and drank the beer he offered me and ate the chips he put out and watched men in tight pants throw an egg-shaped ball around. He explained the rules. I pretended to understand. It was nice. Companionable. Normal. Tom thought I was weird. I could tell. The way I'd ask questions about things everyone else. No. But he didn't push. Assumed I'd had a sheltered upbringing or was from another country or was just socially awkward. all of which were technically true depending on how you define the terms. We weren't close. Not really. We didn't share secrets or have deep conversations about the meaning of life. But we were friendly. We'd nod in the hallway, chat about the weather. He'd ask me to feed his cat when he went out of town. I'd agree even though his cat clearly hated me. Animals can sense what I am. Dogs bark. Cats hiss. Birds fly away. His cat would hide under the bed the entire time I was there. But I'd put out food and water and scoop the litter box, and that was enough. Work was work. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it the way I hated my job in hell. It was just something I did to earn money to pay for my apartment and food. My coworkers were fine. We didn't socialize outside of work, but we were cordial. They'd ask about my weekend. I'd lie and say it was good. They'd complain about their spouses or their kids or their mortgages. I'd nod sympathetically. I was good at my job. Too good, probably. I could process data faster than anyone else in the office. I had to deliberately slow down to avoid suspicion. Make mistakes occasionally. The breaks I didn't need. It was frustrating pretending to be less capable than I was, but it was necessary. My boss liked me. I was reliable. Never called in sick. Never complained. Never asked for raises. The perfect employee. Sometimes I'd catch her looking at me strangely, like she was trying to figure something out, but she never said anything. I discovered movies. That was a revelation. Stories told on a screen with actors and sets and special effects. I'd go to the theater on weekday afternoons when tickets were cheaper and the crowds were smaller. I'd sit in the back and watch. I watched everything. Action movies with explosions and car chases. Romantic comedies with improbable meet-cuties and happy endings. Horror movies that made the humans around me jump and scream, though they weren't scary to me. I'd seen worse. I'd been worse. But I appreciated the craft. The way they built tension. The way they played with expectation. Documentaries were my favorite, I think. Real stories about real people. I watched one about a man who spent his life studying penguins in Antarctica. Another about musicians who'd invented a new genre of music in a poor neighborhood. Another about the history of typography. That one was 3 hours long, and I watched every minute. The thing about documentaries is they showed me how passionate humans could be about the strangest things. Penguins, music, fonts. It didn't matter what it was. Someone, somewhere cared deeply about it, had devoted their life to it. That kind of dedication, that focus was beautiful in its own way. I started having dreams. Real dreams, not the manufactured nightmares hell used for employee motivation. Dreams where I was flying. Dreams where I was drowning. Dreams where I was standing in a field of flowers that went on forever. Dreams where I was lost in a building with infinite rooms. I'd wake up confused, unsure if the dreams meant anything or if they were just my brain processing the day's inputs. Sleeping was strange too. I didn't need to sleep, not really, but I liked it. The shutting down, the unconsciousness, the break from existing. I'd lie in bed and listen to the sounds of the building, the pipes groaning, the couple upstairs arguing, the traffic outside, the radiator doing its xylophone impression. All of it became a kind of lullaby. I learned about holidays. That first year, I had no idea what was happening when October rolled around and suddenly everyone was obsessed with pumpkins and ghosts and skeletons. Halloween. A holiday where people dressed up as monsters for fun. The irony wasn't lost on me that I bought candy. Lots of it. Put it in a bowl by the door. Waited for trick-or-treaters. When they came, little kids in costumes, I'd open the door and let them take candy. They'd say trick or treat, and I'd say, Happy Halloween, and they'd run off to the next apartment. It was simple, transactional, but also sweet in its innocence. One kid was dressed as a devil. Red suit, little horns, plastic pitchfork. He couldn't have been more than 5 years old. He looked up at me with gap-toothed grin and said, I'm scary. I told him he was terrifying. His mother laughed. He seemed pleased. If only he knew he was talking to an actual demon who found his costume adorable. Thanksgiving confused me. A holiday about being grateful? About gathering with family and eating too much? It seemed inefficient. But I watched the parade on TV and saw people genuinely happy to be together, and I thought maybe there was something to it. I didn't have family to gather with, so I made myself a small turkey breast and watched football, which I still didn't understand. Christmas was overwhelming. The decorations, the music, the shopping, the stress. Everyone seemed simultaneously excited and exhausted. I put up a small tree in my apartment. Bought it from a lot where they were selling them from the back of a truck. Was scraggly and half dead, but it was mine. I decorated it with cheap ornaments from the dollar store. Hung lights that blinked in a pattern that was almost seizure-inducing. Put a star on top that leaned at a 45-degree angle. Was objectively ugly, but I loved it. Evidence that I was trying, that I was participating in this human ritual of bringing a tree inside and covering it with shiny objects. I didn't get any presents. Didn't expect any. But on Christmas morning I found a gift outside my door. Small box wrapped in newspaper. No tag. Inside was a coffee mug. It said World's Okayest Neighbor. I later learned it was from Tom. He'd left one for everyone on the floor. Was a joke, but I used that mug every day. Still do. New Year's was anticlimactic. I stayed up to watch the ball drop on TV. Watch people in Times Square packed together like sardines, freezing, waiting for a ball to slowly descend a pole. When midnight hit, I said, Happy New Year, to my empty apartment. The fireworks outside sounded like artillery fire. Everyone in the building started banging pots and pans. It was chaos. I loved it. That's when I realized I was happy. Not ecstatic. Not jumping for joy happy. But content. Satisfied with my small apartment and my boring job and my mediocre cooking and my ugly Christmas tree. I'd found a life. A simple, ordinary, perfectly mundane human life. Year 2 was easier. I knew the rhythms. I knew what to expect. I expanded my cooking repertoire. Tried baking. That was a disaster at first. Turns out, baking is chemistry, and if you don't follow the recipe exactly, you get hockey pucks instead of cookies. But I practiced. Read the instructions carefully. Measured precisely. Eventually, I made cookies that were edible. Then good. Then actually pretty decent. I started bringing them to work. Left them in the break room with a note that said, Help yourself. They disappeared within an hour. No one knew who made them. It became a mystery. The cookie phantom. I liked the anonymity of it. The ability to do something nice without expectation of recognition. I tried other hobbies. Picked up a used guitar from a thrift store. watched tutorial videos. My fingers were terrible at first. Couldn't make the chords. Couldn't transition smoothly. Sounded like cats dying. But I kept at it. Practiced every evening after work. Slowly, painfully, I improved. Learned a few simple songs. Nothing impressive. Wonderwall. Horse with no name. The kind of songs drunk people play at parties. I never played for anyone. Just sat in my apartment, fumbling through chord progressions. Pleased when I managed to play a full song without mistakes. It was meditation. Focus. The opposite of the chaotic multitasking of my old job. I started running. Not because I needed exercise. This body doesn't work like human bodies. But because everyone else seemed to be doing it and I wanted to understand why. At first I hated it. The repetitive motion. The boredom. The way your lungs burn and your legs ache. But then something shifted. I started noticing things. The way the city looked in early morning. The way light hit buildings. The way shadows moved. The other runners with their determined faces and their expensive shoes. The people walking their dogs. The elderly couple who power walked together every morning holding hands. I ran the same route every day. Through the park, around the reservoir, back through the neighborhood. It became a moving meditation. A way to clear my head. To process the day ahead or the day behind. Sometimes I'd think about nothing at all. Just exist in the moment. Feet hitting pavement, breath steady, mind quiet. I found a used bookstore that became my sanctuary. Cramped, dusty, stacks of books piled everywhere. The owner was an old man named Bernard who barely acknowledged customers. He'd sit behind the counter reading and you could browse for hours without him saying a word. Perfect. I'd go there every Sunday afternoon. Wander the stacks. Pull books at random. Read the first page. If it grabbed me, I'd buy it. If not, I'd put it back and try another. No system. No plan. Just exploration. I read science fiction that imagined futures where humanity had spread to the stars. Read fantasy about worlds with magic and dragons and quests. Read mysteries where detectives solved impossible crimes. Read romance novels about people finding love in unlikely circumstances. Read literary fiction that didn't really have plots but made me feel things. Anyway, some books I loved, some I hated, some I didn't understand but appreciated anyway. Started keeping notes. Nothing fancy. Just a notebook where I'd write down quotes that struck me or thoughts about what I'd read. It was my own private conversation with dead authors. Bernard noticed me eventually. Started making recommendations. You like that? Try this. He was never wrong. He had an uncanny sense of what people would enjoy. Turned out he was a demon too. Different department. He'd left hell centuries ago. We never talked about it directly. Just an unspoken understanding. A nod of recognition. He told me there were others. Demons who'd walked away. Living quietly among humans. Trying to build something different. Not many, but enough. We had a network of sorts. Ways of recognizing each other. Helping each other navigate this world. I met a few. Coffee shop meetings that looked like chance encounters. Conversations that seemed casual but carried weight. A demon who ran a community garden in Brooklyn. Another who taught kindergarten. Another who worked as a night watchman at a museum. All of us had left for similar reasons. Boredom. Dissatisfaction. The realization that eternal damnation was just another job and a boring one at that. We'd wanted something different, something with possibility, even if that possibility was just the chance to choose what to eat for dinner. None of us regretted it. That was the consensus. Life as a human was hard in different ways. Bills, loneliness, the constant low-level stress of existence. But it was ours. We chose it. That made all the difference. I learned to appreciate small things. The first sip of coffee in the morning. The way sunlight streams through the window at a particular angle. The feeling of clean sheets. The sound of rain. These things meant nothing in hell. Everything was optimized for misery. But here, these tiny moments of pleasure were everywhere. I started taking photos. Not seriously, just with my phone. Pictures of things that caught my eye. A strange cloud formation. A dog wearing a sweater. Graffiti that made me laugh. Flowers growing through cracks in the sidewalk. I never showed them to anyone. They were just for me. Evidence that I was paying attention. I learned that humans spend a lot of time worrying about things that will never happen. Future disasters, past mistakes, things they said that came out wrong, things they should have said, but didn't. The weight they carry around is staggering. In hell, we were certain of our misery. Here, humans torture themselves with possibility. But I also learned they hope. Despite everything. Despite the evidence that life is hard and people are complicated and the world is full of problems. They hope. They make plans. They believe things can get better. They act as if their actions matter. Maybe they do. Maybe that's the real magic. The belief that change is possible. I started volunteering. Food bank once a month. Just sorting donations and packing boxes. The people I worked with were kind. We didn't talk much. Just worked side by side, filling boxes with canned goods and pasta and rice. But there was something satisfying about it. Knowing that these boxes would go to people who needed them. That I was helping even in a small way. One of the regular volunteers was a woman named Sarah. She'd been coming to the food bank for years. She told me once that she'd needed help when she was younger. Had come here for food when her kids were small and money was tight. Now she gave back. She said it was important to remember where you came from. I thought about that for a long time. Where did I come from? Hell yes. But before that, I couldn't remember. None of us could. Our origins were lost. We existed. We worked. We processed the damned. That was all we know. But here and now, I was creating a new origin story. I came from nowhere. I arrived in a rainy alley. Everything after that was choice. I dealt with my first real crisis in year 3. The building got sold. New owners. They wanted to renovate, raise rents. Several tenants got eviction notices, including me. 30 days to find a new place in this city. Good luck. I panicked, which was new. In hell, I never panicked. There was nothing to panic about. Everything was predetermined. But here the future was uncertain. I could end up homeless. Could lose this life I'd built. Could end up back in that shelter or worse. Tom helped. Found me a listing. 1 bedroom. Same neighborhood. More expensive but manageable. He helped me move. Carried boxes. Made jokes about how few possessions I had. We ordered pizza after. Sat on the floor of my new empty apartment eating straight from the box. He asked if I was okay. I said yes. I meant it. The new apartment was smaller. No window box for flowers. The radiator was worse. The faucet leaked more. But it was mine. I unpacked my few belongings, hung my photos, set up my bookshelf, put my ugly Christmas tree ornaments in a box for next year, made the space my own. That's when you moved in across the hall. 8 months ago. You seemed nice, quiet. We'd nod in passing. You once held the elevator for me when I was carrying groceries. Appreciated that. Small kindness from a stranger. That's what makes life bearable. The accumulation of small kindnesses. I didn't think you'd notice anything odd about me. I'd gotten good at blending in, being normal. But I got sloppy, comfortable. Started thinking I didn't need to be as careful. That's how you walked in on me this morning. Eyes glowing. The thing I can't completely control. When I'm not paying attention. So here we are. You know what I am. The question is, what happens now? I'm not going to hurt you. I need you to believe that. I have no interest in your soul. I don't collect souls anymore. Don't want to. The whole business always seemed unethical anyway. Humans make choices. Good ones. Bad ones. Mostly mediocre ones. Why should I profit from that? I'm not going to tell anyone about you. Not that there's anyone to tell. Hell has moved on. They replaced me. Probably hired some freshly fallen demon eager to prove themselves. The Department of Eternal Tedium is processing souls without me. Life goes on. Damnation goes. I'm irrelevant to them. I'm just a guy. Well, a demon. But a guy-shaped demon living a guy-shaped life. I pay my rent. On time. I don't play music loud. I put my trash in the right bins. I'm a good neighbor. That's all I want to be. You're scared. I get it. Finding out your neighbor is a demon is not an everyday occurrence. But think about it. In 8 months, have I done anything threatening? Have I been anything other than quiet and polite? Have I in any way indicated that I'm dangerous? The scariest thing I've done is finish the coffee without making a new pot, which again I apologized for twice. I want you to stay in the building. I like having you as a neighbor. You're considerate. You don't make a lot of noise. You always hold the door if you see someone coming. Are important qualities in a neighbor. But I understand if you want to leave. If knowing what I am makes you uncomfortable. I won't stop you. Won't follow you. Won't do anything except continue living my quiet, boring life in this slightly worse apartment with a very leaky faucet. If you stay, we can go back to how things were. Polite nods. Occasional elevator small talk. Mutual respect for each other's space. We don't have to be friends. We don't even have to talk about this again. It can just be our shared strange secret. The thing we both know but never discuss. Or if you want, we can talk about it. I'm happy to answer questions. Within reason. There are some things I don't remember. Some things I never knew. But I can tell you about hell. About the bureaucracy and the boredom and the profound existential monotony of eternal damnation. I can tell you about why I left. About what it's like to be something other and trying to be something normal. I make pretty good cookies now. If you're interested, I could bring some over. We could have coffee. You could ask me things. Or we could just eat cookies and not talk about it. Either way. The thing about being a demon living among humans is that you learn pretty quickly that everyone is dealing with something. Everyone has secrets. Everyone is trying to figure out how to exist. I'm just a little more obvious about it. You're dealing with something too. I can see it. The way you come home late sometimes, looking exhausted, The way you don't seem to have visitors. The way you stand in the hallway. Sometimes key in hand like you're gathering courage to open your door. I don't know what it is. Don't need to know. But I recognize the signs of someone who's struggling. We're all struggling. That's the secret humans don't like to admit. Everyone's barely holding it together. Everyone's faking it. Pretending they know what they're doing. Making it up as they go. I thought humans had it figured out when I first got here. But you're all just as lost as I am. The difference is you don't have hell as a point of comparison. You don't know how good you have it. The freedom. The choice. The possibility that tomorrow could be different from today. That's everything. That's what I risked damnation to find. Literal damnation in my case. There are probably rules against leaving. Consequences. Might get dragged back eventually. Might face punishment. But every day I'm here is worth it. Every boring, ordinary day of existence in this body, in this apartment, in this city, is better than an eternity of processed misery. That's what I want you to understand. I'm not here to cause problems. I'm here because I want to be here. Because I chose this. Because even with the leaky faucet and the terrible radiator and the rent that's too high and the job that's too boring, this is better. This is so much better. I've learned a lot in 3 years. How to cook. How to shop. How to do laundry without turning everything pink. How to make small talk. How to exist in a body that needs food and sleep and water. How to be more or less human. But I've also learned things I didn't expect to learn. Like how good it feels to make someone smile. How satisfying it is to finish a book. How peaceful it can be to sit in a park and watch ducks. How exciting it is to try a new restaurant. How comforting routine can be. How nice it feels to have someone say good morning to you in the elevator. I've learned that humans are resilient. You face impossible odds and keep going. You deal with heartbreak and disappointment and failure, and you get up the next day and try again. You're stubborn in the best possible way. I've learned that kindness is radical. That choosing to be gentle in a world that's often harsh is an act of rebellion. That helping someone for no reason is more powerful than any curse I could have cast in my old job. I've learned that connection matters. Even small connections. Even just being someone's weird neighbor who makes okay cookies. Being part of a community, even tangentially, is worth something. Is worth everything maybe. I've learned that fear is natural. That everyone's afraid of something. That being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. You're scared right now, but you're still here. Still listening. That's brave. I've learned that change is possible. That you can be one thing for eons and then decide to be something else. That identity is fluid. That what you were doesn't have to define what you are. That redemption, if that's even the right word, is available to everyone. Even demons. I've learned that meaning is something you create, not something you find. That there's no cosmic purpose to any of this. We're here. We exist. What we do with that existence is up to. I choose to make cookies and read books and water flowers and be a decent neighbor. That's enough. That's more than enough. I've learned that home isn't a place. It's a feeling. The feeling of belonging. Of safety. Of being able to be yourself, whatever that self is. I found that here. In this building. In this city. In this strange human life I've cobbled together from observation and trial and error. I've learned that perfection is overrated. That being good enough is actually pretty great. That you don't have to be the best at anything. You just have to try. Keep trying. Show up. Do the work. Be kind. That's all there is. I've learned to laugh at myself. At the absurdity of a demon standing in line at the DMV. Demon filing taxes. A demon watching cooking competitions and getting genuinely invested in whether someone's souffle will rise. The incongruity of it all is hilarious if you think about it. I've learned that time moves differently when you're not counting down to eternity. That days matter. That moments matter. That the mundane is actually extraordinary if you pay attention. The way steam rises from a coffee cup. The way leaves rustle. The way your breath fogs in. Cold air. Small miracles everywhere. I've learned that you don't have to understand everything. That mystery is okay. That not knowing is part of the experience. In hell, everything was explained. Every procedure. Every consequence. Here so much is unknown. And that's beautiful. That's what makes it worth living. I've learned that humans are artists. All of you. You create. You make things. You tell stories. You paint. You write. You compose music. You garden. You cook. You build. You're constantly creating even when you don't think of it that way. Every conversation is creation. Every relationship. Every day you survive is a work of art. I've learned that sadness is okay. That you don't have to be happy all the time. That grief and melancholy and disappointment are part of the full spectrum of existence. In hell there was only misery. Here there's everything. The highs and lows. The full range. I'll take that over monotone suffering any day. I've learned that asking for help is strength, not weakness. That admitting you don't know something is honest. That being vulnerable is harder than being invulnerable. You think demons are powerful? We're nothing compared to a human who can say, I'm struggling, and reach out. I've learned that mistakes are learning opportunities. Such a cliche. But it's true. Every burned dinner. Every failed batch of cookies. Every social interaction I fumbled. Every time I misread a situation or said the wrong thing. All of it taught me something. Made me better at this. Better at being. I've learned that you can find joy in unexpected places. In the weight of a cat sitting on your lap even if it's hissing at you. In the smell of coffee brewing. In a really good thunderstorm. Finding the perfect parking spot. In finishing a difficult puzzle. In a joke that makes you laugh so hard you cry. Joy is everywhere if you look for it. I've learned that everyone has a story. That guy who cut you off in traffic has a story. The barista who messed up your order has a story. That person walking down the street talking to themselves has a story. We're all protagonists in our own narratives, all trying to make sense of things. I've learned that forgiveness is complicated. Can you forgive a demon? Can I forgive myself? For the centuries I spent processing souls? For the part one played in the machine of damnation? I don't know. I'm working on it. But I've learned that holding on to guilt is its own kind of hell. I've learned that the future is uncertain. Tomorrow I could get dragged back to hell. Or I could get hit by a bus. Or I could just continue living this quiet life. There's no way to know. But instead of that being terrifying, I've learned it can be freeing. If nothing's guaranteed, then anything's possible. I've learned that rest is important. That you can't always be productive. That sometimes you need to just exist. Lie on the couch. Stare at the ceiling. Let your mind wander. Be unproductive. Be still. In hell, stillness was punished. Here it's necessary. I've learned that food is more than fuel. It's culture. It's memory. It's love. People cook for each other, feed each other, share meals, break bread together. The communal act of eating is sacred in its own way. Every dinner is a small ceremony. I've learned that music is powerful, can change your mood, can transport you, can make you feel things you didn't know you could feel. I've listened to so much music, all genres, all eras. Some of it speaks to me, some of it doesn't, but all of it is someone expressing something they felt. That's powerful. I've learned that nature is resilient. Flowers grow through concrete. Trees survive storms. Animals adapt. Life finds a way. It's cliché because it's true. And if nature can be that resilient, maybe I can too. I've learned that pets make people happy. Even though they're expensive and inconvenient, and they die eventually and break your heart, people still get them, still love them, still choose that joy despite knowing it comes with pain. That's courage. I've learned that humans are obsessed with weather. We'll spend hours discussing it, complaining about it, making small talk about it. It's strange and endearing. The weather is the great equalizer. Everyone experiences it. Everyone has opinions about it. I've learned that sleep is important, not just for the body but for the mind. Dreams process the day. Rest recharges you. Sleep is when healing happens, both physical and emotional. I've learned to value those hours of unconsciousness, to welcome them. I've learned that you can be lonely in a crowd. That proximity doesn't equal connection. That you can live in a building full of people and still feel completely alone. I felt that. The isolation of being different, of hiding what you are. But I've also learned that's not unique to me. Humans feel that too. I've learned that holidays are important not for what they celebrate but for the structure they provide. The rhythm of the year, the anticipation, the traditions, the excuse to gather, to mark time's passing. I've learned that humor is survival, that being able to laugh, especially at yourself, is essential, that taking things too seriously is exhausting, that sometimes the only response to absurdity is to laugh. I've learned that humans are constantly trying to improve. Self-help books, therapy, diets, exercise plans. You're always trying to be better versions of yourselves. It's exhausting just watching it, but it's also admirable. The constant striving, the refusal to accept stagnation. I've learned that comparison is poison, that everyone's on their own journey, that what works for someone else might not work for you, that your pace is your pace. I spent too long comparing my human experience to what I thought it should be. Now I just accept what it is. I've learned that boundaries are healthy, that saying no is okay, that you don't owe anyone your time or energy, that protecting your peace is important. This was hard for me. In hell, boundaries didn't exist. Everything was everyone's business. Here I can close my door, can choose when to engage. I've learned that nostalgia is powerful but dangerous. Looking back can be comforting or painful, sometimes both. I don't have many memories to be nostalgic about, but I see humans get trapped in the past, convinced that things were better then. That's its own kind of hell. I've learned that the internet is amazing and terrible. So much information, so much connection, so much garbage, so much toxicity. It's everything all at once. I use it carefully, take what's useful, leave the rest. Don't read the comments. I've learned that city life is loud and chaotic and overwhelming and wonderful. There's always something happening, always someone to watch, always noise, always light. It never stops, and I love that. The constant hum of existence. I've learned that quiet is also valuable, that turning off all the noise, literally and figuratively, is necessary sometimes. That silence isn't empty. It's full of possibility, of rest, of peace. I've learned that everyone's fighting a battle you know nothing about, that the person who was rude to you might be dealing with something terrible, that grace and patience and assuming good intentions makes life easier. Not always. Sometimes people are just jerks. But most of the time they're just struggling. I've learned that asking, "How are you?" is usually just a greeting, not a real question. That "fine" is the expected answer even if you're not fine. That real connection requires going deeper, actually caring about the answer, actually sharing the truth. I've learned that exercise feels terrible while you're doing it and great when you're done. That discipline is choosing long-term satisfaction over short-term comfort. That consistency beats intensity. All those self-help cliches are annoying but true. I've learned that apologizing is hard but necessary. That "I'm sorry" can repair damage. That admitting fault is powerful. That holding on to pride is expensive. I've had to apologize a lot. For not understanding. For saying the wrong thing. For being weird. Each time gets easier. I've learned that gratitude changes things. That noticing what you have instead of what you lack makes you happier. That's scientifically proven, apparently. I try to think of 3 things I'm grateful for each day. Today it's coffee, sunshine, and the fact that you're still sitting here, listening to me ramble. I've learned that everyone's an expert on something. That random person knows everything about ancient Rome. That one knows all about mushroom foraging. That one can fix anything mechanical. Everyone has knowledge. Everyone has value. Everyone has something to teach. I've learned that judgment is lazy. That it's easy to look at someone and make assumptions. That people are complicated. That everyone's doing the best they can with what they have. That extending benefit of doubt costs nothing. I've learned that change is hard. That habits are strong. That transformation doesn't happen overnight. That you have to keep showing up. Keep trying. Even when it feels pointless. Especially then. Change is accumulated small actions over time. I've learned that confidence is mostly fake. That everyone's pretending to know what they're doing. That fake it till you make it is real strategy. That no one has it figured out. We're all improvising. I've learned that creativity is important even if you're not good at it. That making things for the joy of making them is enough. That not everything needs to be shared or monetized or perfect. That the act of creation is inherently valuable. I've learned that walking is underrated. That moving your body through space is meditative. That you notice things when you walk that you miss when you drive. That getting from point A to point B doesn't have to be efficient. That sometimes the journey matters more than the destination. I've learned that plants are calming. That caring for something that grows brings satisfaction. That watching something change slowly over time is its own reward. My window box flowers were that for me. A small thing that mattered. I've learned that you can't control everything. That uncertainty is constant. That trying to manage every variable is exhausting and impossible. That letting go is sometimes the only option. That surrender isn't defeat. I've learned that happiness isn't constant. that it comes in moments, brief flashes, that chasing it constantly means missing it when it arrives, that contentment is more sustainable than joy, that being okay is underrated. I've learned that humans need stories, fiction, narratives, ways to make sense of chaos, that you tell stories about everything, your day, your life, history, the future. Stories are how you understand, how you connect, how you survive. I've learned that death is everywhere here. Everything alive will die. That impermanence is what makes things precious. In hell, nothing dies. Nothing changes. That's the real torture. Here, because things end, they matter. Every day matters because there are finite days. I've learned that hope is irrational and essential. That despite evidence to the contrary, humans hope, believe things can be better, act as if their actions matter. That's beautiful. That's what makes you human. That stubborn, unreasonable hope. I've learned that I'm more human than demon now. That 3 years of living this life has changed me. That what I was is less important than what I am. That identity is fluid. That I'm still becoming. I've learned that this conversation right now is risky. That revealing myself could end everything I've built. But I'm tired of hiding. Tired of pretending. You saw me. Really saw me. And I owe you honesty. I've learned that vulnerability is terrifying. That letting someone know who you really are gives them power. But it's also freeing. I don't have to hide from you anymore. Even if you leave, even if you tell everyone, at least one person knows. At least I told the truth. I've learned that I want to stay here, in this building, in this life, that I'll fight to keep this if I have to, that I'm not going back. That whatever consequences come, they're worth it. This small, ordinary life is worth it. I've learned that 3 years isn't that long, that I'm still figuring things out, that I'll keep making mistakes, but that's okay. That's part of it. That learning is lifelong. That growth doesn't end. I've learned that right now in this moment I'm grateful for this conversation, for your willingness to listen, for not running away immediately, for giving me a chance to explain. That's more than I deserve probably, but I'll take it. Look, it's late. You're probably exhausted. This has been a lot to process. Finding out your neighbor is a demon. Listening to said demon ramble about hell and cookies and the importance of routine. I appreciate you staying. Really. I'm going to make some tea. Chamomile is supposed to be calming. I've never found it particularly calming myself, but humans swear by it. Would you like some? We can sit, drink, not talk, or talk, whatever you need. The thing is, I'm not a threat to you. I never was. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of being alone with this secret. So yeah, I'm a demon. But I'm also just Alex, your neighbor. The guy who makes okay cookies and finishes the coffee without making more and plays guitar badly at weird hours. I'm still the same person you've known for 8 months. Just with additional context. The context being that I'm from hell and I glow sometimes and I'll probably never die unless someone figures out how to kill me, which honestly I haven't researched because I'm trying to avoid thinking about it. You can ask me anything, or nothing. We can pretend this never happened, or we can be honest with each other. Real. Whatever that means. I'm good either way. Well, not good. Exactly. I'd prefer if you stayed and we could be friends, or at least friendly acquaintances who acknowledge each other's existence. But I understand if that's not possible. The radiator is doing its thing again. That clanking. At first it drove me crazy. Now it's comforting. A reminder that I'm here. That this is real. That I'm not in hell anymore. That I have a physical space I can call mine, even if I'm technically renting it. The city is quieter now. Late enough that traffic has thinned. Early enough that the early birds aren't up yet. This is my favorite time. The in-between. When the world holds its breath. When it's possible to think. To be. I should probably stop talking. I do that when I'm nervous. Fill the silence with words. It's a human thing I picked up. Or maybe it's just a me thing. Hard to say. In hell I rarely talked. No. Point. Everyone knew everything. Here, communication is necessary. Required. Sometimes I overdo it. If you want to leave, you can. Doors unlocked. I won't stop you. Won't follow you. You have my word for whatever that's worth coming from a demon. But if you stay even just a few more minutes, I'd like that. I'd like to not be alone with this anymore. I'm going to turn the lights down. They're too bright. Too harsh. Softer light is better. More conducive to rest. To calm. The city glow through the window is enough. That ambient orange. Light that never really goes away. Urban darkness. Never truly dark. There. Better. I can hear someone coughing 2 floors up. Someone else running water. The building is alive. Full of people doing people things. Sleeping. Waking. Existing. All those lives happening. Simultaneously. It's overwhelming if you think about it too hard. So don't. Just breathe. In and out. Simple. Basic. The most fundamental thing. Breath equals life. Pause equals death. But the pause between breaths, that's where peace lives. That moment of stillness. Hold on to that. Your fear is fading. I can tell. Your shoulders dropped an inch. Your breathing slowed. You're processing. Accepting. Or at least moving toward acceptance. That's good. Fear is exhausting. You can't maintain it indefinitely. Eventually you have to just let go. I'm not what you thought demons were. That's okay. I'm not what I thought demons were. Either. Turns out we're all just doing our best. Even demons. Even humans. Even whatever else is out there. All of us trying to figure out how to exist. How to matter. How to make sense of senselessness. There's no grand meaning. No cosmic purpose. No divine plan. Just beings existing. Making choices. Dealing with consequences. Building lives out of small actions accumulated over time. That's it. That's everything. And somehow that's enough. Has to be enough. Because it's all there is. The tea is ready. I can hear the kettle. Well, you can't hear it probably, but I can. Demon ears. One of the few advantages. That and not needing much sleep. And the whole immortality thing, though that's more complicated than it sounds. I'll get the tea. You stay there. Rest. Let me take care of something. Let me be useful. Important to me. Being useful. Being needed. Being more than just a former demon hiding in an apartment. 2 cups. Chamomile. Little honey because bitter tea is unnecessarily unpleasant. Humans discovered honey and decided to put it in everything, and honestly they were right. Makes everything better. Simple pleasure. Sweetness against bitter. Balance here. Careful. It's hot. Blow on it. That's what humans do. Cool it down with your breath. Such a strange solution to a problem. Breathing on hot things. But it works. Most human solutions are strange and somehow effective. Sip slowly. Let it warm you from inside. Feel it travel down. Reach your stomach. Spread heat and comfort and the faint taste of flowers. Chamomile is daisy family. Did you know that? I learned that from a documentary about herbal medicine. Random knowledge is one of my hobbies now. We can just sit. No more talking if you don't want. Just be here. Together. Two beings in a small space drinking tea existing. That's enough. More than enough. That's connection. That's community. That's life. The night will end eventually. Morning will come. Light will filter through the window. The city will wake. The radiator will clank. Coffee will brew. Life will continue. As it does. As it always does. Despite everything. And you'll have to decide what to do with what you know. Whether to tell anyone. Whether to pretend this never happened. Whether to accept that your neighbor is a demon and just move forward. I hope you stay. I hope we can be friends. Or at least friendly. I hope this doesn't ruin what could be a perfectly pleasant neighborly relationship. But I understand if it does. This is too much fun, too much. I get it. But for now, for tonight, just rest. Just be. Let the tea work its magic, real or placebo. Let exhaustion take you. Let sleep come. I'll be here. Watching. Not in a creepy way. In a protective way. Guardian of the hallway. Keeper of the peace. Demon who makes okay. Cookies. Your eyes are heavy. Don't fight it. Sleep is good. Sleep is necessary. Sleep is when your brain processes, when healing happens, when dreams come. And dreams are important. Even the weird ones. Especially the weird ones. Tomorrow is unknown. Tomorrow is possibility. Tomorrow is another day of figuring things out. But tonight, right now, you're safe. You're warm. You're not alone. And maybe that's all any of us really need. To know we're not alone. That someone's watching out for us. That we matter to someone, even if that someone is a demon from hell. Who quit his job and learned to make cookies. The world is strange. Life is weird. Existence is complicated. But we're here. We made it this far. And that's worth something. That's worth everything. Sleep now. Rest. Dream. I'll keep watch. The demon who got tired of hell will guard your door. And tomorrow, if you still want to be neighbors, I'll make sure there's fresh coffee. That's a promise. You know, I haven't told anyone the whole story before. Not like this. Not in one sitting. Feels good. Cathartic, I think that's the word. Getting it all out. Letting someone else carry the weight of knowing. Sharing the burden. Bernard knows some of it. The other former demons know their own versions. But no one knows all of it. No one's asked. And I haven't volunteered. Until now. Until you walked in on me with glowing eyes and I realized I was tired of hiding. Hiding is exhausting. Constantly monitoring yourself. Watching what you say. How you react. Making sure you don't slip. Don't reveal. Don't make mistakes that expose you. It's like being undercover, except forever. Except the consequences of being caught are existential. But now you know. And I'm too tired to care about consequences. 3 years of careful pretending and I just stopped. Told you everything. Let it all spill out. And it feels lighter. Somehow. Like I've been carrying rocks in my pockets and I finally emptied them. Maybe. That's what happened to most demons. They just accepted it. This is existence. This is what we do. There's no alternative. So why fight it? Why resist? Just put your head down and process souls and collect your inadequate paycheck and go home to your depressing apartment and do it all again tomorrow. But I couldn't. Something in me refused. Maybe it was a defect, a glitch in my programming. Maybe I was always meant to leave. Maybe this was inevitable. Or maybe I just got lucky, saw an opportunity, took it. And now here I am drinking tea with a human who knows what The uncertainty of it all used to terrify me. Not knowing what would happen. Not having a plan. Not understanding the rules. But I've grown comfortable with uncertainty. It's better than certainty of misery. Unknown possibility beats known suffering every time. I think about the souls I process sometimes. Wonder what happened to them. Did they eventually adjust to their tedium? Did they find small rebellions? Did any of them escape? Hope so. I hope they found ways to make their damnation bearable. Or maybe even pleasant. Stranger things have happened. Like a demon quitting hell and learning to make cookies. That's pretty strange. I should tell you about winter. My second winter here. The first one was rough, but the second was beautiful. I'd learned to appreciate it by then. The way snow falls. Silent. Blanketing. Everything. Making the city quiet in a way it never is otherwise. Muffling sound. Creating temporary peace. I walked through the park during a snowstorm once. Middle of the night. Couldn't sleep. So I just walked. Snow coming down thick and heavy. Sticking to my jacket. My hair. Covering the ground in white. The city was empty. Just me in the snow and the strange orange glow of streetlights through falling flakes. It was magical. That's the only word for it. Actual magic. Not the kind with incantations and rituals. The everyday magic of nature doing something beautiful. I stood there for an hour, maybe longer, just watching it snow, feeling the cold, feeling alive. A cop stopped to check on me, asked if I was okay. I said yes, said I was just enjoying the snow. He looked at me like I was crazy, told me I should get inside before I froze. I thanked him, didn't move. He drove away shaking his head. I stayed until the snow stopped. That's when I realized I'd changed. The old me, the hell me, wouldn't have understood. Standing in a snowstorm for fun. Wouldn't have seen the point. Would have calculated the inefficiency, the waste of time. But the new me, the human me, understood. Sometimes you just stand in the snow because it's beautiful. I've had a few more encounters with other former demons since then. There's a woman named Seraphine who runs a flower shop in the East Village. She left hell about 50 years ago. Said she couldn't take another day of the bureaucracy. Now she spends her time arranging flowers and making people smile. She says it's the best revenge. Making beauty instead of misery. There's a guy named Corvus who works nights at a 24-hour diner. He serves coffee and eggs and pancakes to drunk people and insomniacs and third-shift workers. Says he likes the liminal space of 3 a.m. The way time feels different. The way people are more honest when they're exhausted. He left hell because he was bored. Simple as that. 5,000 years of the same job. He wanted something different. There's a young demon, relatively speaking, named Azura who teaches art to elementary school kids. She left after only 100 years in hell. Said life was too short to spend it being miserable. Even if that life was eternal. She wanted to create, to teach, to see children learn. She said kids don't care that she's a demon. They just care that she's nice and lets them make messes. We meet occasionally. Not regularly. No schedule. But sometimes we'll run into each other. Coffee shops. Parks. Bookstores. We'll nod. Exchange a few words. Share small updates. Then go our separate ways. It's nice having people who understand. Who don't need explanations. Who've made the same impossible choice. None of us regret it. That's the common thread. Despite the difficulties. Despite the loneliness. Sometimes. Despite the constant low-level fear of being discovered or dragged back. None of us would choose to go back. This life, with all its complications, is better that I've thought about what I'd say if someone from hell came for me. If they sent enforcers. There were consequences. I'd say I'm not sorry. I'd say I made the right choice. I'd say I finally understand what it means to be alive, and I'm not giving that up. I'd fight if I had to. Run if I could. But I wouldn't go willingly. But no one's come. 3 years and nothing. Either they don't care or they haven't noticed, or there are so many demons that one going AWOL doesn't matter. I prefer to think it's the latter. That I'm just a statistic. A number in a ledger. Insignificant. That's fine with me. Insignificance is safe. I've developed preferences. That's new. In hell, preferences were irrelevant. You got what you got. End of story. But here you can prefer things. Like coffee over tea, though I drink both. Like spring over winter, though I appreciate both. Like books over movies, though I enjoy both. Preference implies choice. Choice implies agency. Agency implies freedom. I prefer mornings now. Waking up slowly. That moment between sleep and consciousness. Where anything is possible. Before the day's demands assert themselves. When you're just existing. Being. Not doing. Just being. I prefer questions to answers. Because answers close things off. Questions open them up. Answers are final. Questions are beginnings. Every answer generates more questions. That's the beauty of curiosity. It's infinite. I prefer now to then. This moment to any moment in my past. This life to my old life. This existence to that existence. Now, here. This, with you. Drinking tea. Having revealed myself. Waiting to see what happens next. The thing about preferences is they're personal. Individual. Unique to you. In hell we were. Interchangeable. Cogs in a machine. One demon could replace another demon with minimal disruption. But here I'm specifically me. My preferences. My choices. My life. No one else could live it exactly this way. That's identity. Not what you are, but what you choose. How you spend your time. What you value. Who you connect with. I'm a demon, yes, but I'm also Alex Morrison, data entry specialist, amateur cook, mediocre guitar player, cookie maker, neighbor, friend to a few, known to many, understood by almost none. Except now. Now you understand. At least a little. At least more than anyone else. And that matters. Being understood. Being seen. Being known. That's connection. That's what makes loneliness bearable. Knowing that someone knows. I've been lonely here. I won't lie. More lonely than in hell in some ways. In hell I was surrounded by others like me. We didn't connect, but we coexisted. Shared experience. Here. I'm fundamentally different. Other. Alien. Passing as human but not human. It's isolating. But I've also found moments of connection. Brief, fleeting, but real. The barista who remembers my order. Tom helping me move. Bernard recommending books. Sarah at the food bank talking about giving back. You holding the elevator. Small moments, small kindnesses, small acknowledgments of shared humanity. Even though I'm not human, but I'm trying. That counts for something, doesn't it? The trying, the effort, the choice to be better, to do better, to participate in this world with kindness and consideration. That has to count. I think about purpose sometimes. What's my purpose now? In hell, my purpose was clear. Process souls, meet quotas, follow procedures. But here, what's my purpose? I don't have one. Not a grand one. Not a cosmic one. Just small purposes. Daily purposes. Make coffee. Go to work. Pay rent. Be kind. That's it. And somehow that's enough. Doesn't feel like enough sometimes. Feels small. Insignificant. But then I remember that most people don't have grand purposes either. They have small ones. Take care of their families. Do their jobs. Be decent. What? That's universal. That's human. And that's what I'm trying to be. I've learned about disappointment. That's a human emotion I didn't really experience in hell. Because I had no expectations. No hopes. Nothing to be disappointed about. But here I have expectations. And sometimes things don't work out. Plans fall through. Recipes fail. Books disappoint. Days are bad. That's disappointing. But I've also learned about pleasant surprises. The flip side. When things work out better than expected. When a recipe turns out great. When a book exceeds expectations. When a stranger is kind. When a day is good. Those moments balance the disappointments. Life is balance. That's what I've learned. Good and bad. Joy and sorrow. Connection and loneliness. Success and failure. You can't have one without the other. They define each other. Give each other meaning. You can't appreciate the good without experiencing the bad. In hell there was only bad. Monotonous, endless bad. That's not balance. That's just nothing. A flat line of misery. Here there's variation. Peaks and valleys. Ups and downs. That's living. That's the full experience. I prefer the full experience. I've made mistakes here. So many mistakes. Especially in the beginning. I tried to pay for groceries with money I'd manifested incorrectly. The cashier held up the bill and called the manager. I panicked. Made an excuse. Left the groceries. Ran. Literally ran. Spent the next week terrified I'd be arrested that I put dish soap in the dishwasher once. Not dishwasher detergent. Regular dish soap. The kitchen flooded with bubbles. So many bubbles. It looked like a foam party. I tried to clean it. Made it worse. Eventually my downstairs neighbor came up to complain about water dripping through their ceiling. I apologized profusely. Offered to pay for damages. She just said everyone makes that mistake once. I called 911 once because I thought I was having a heart attack. Turned out I just drunk too much coffee. The EMTs were very nice about it. Checked my vitals. Explained caffeine overdose. Suggested I cut back. I was mortified. But they said it happens all the time. People panic. Better safe than sorry. I've learned that mistakes are okay. That everyone makes them. That perfection is impossible. That trying and failing is better than not trying at all. Each mistake taught me something, made me better at being human, made me more confident that I could do this, could survive here, could build a life. I've had successes too. Learning to cook was a success. Finding this apartment, keeping my job, making friends, sort of. Each small success built on the last, created momentum, confidence, proof that I belonged here, that I could do this. I grew that window box of flowers. That was a success. Watching them bloom, watering them daily, seeing them thrive. That felt good. That felt like accomplishment, like I'd created something beautiful instead of destroying something, like I'd added something positive to the world. I finished a book, read the whole thing, cover to cover. That was a success. Sounds stupid, but in hell I never finished anything. There was always more work, more files, more processes. But here I read a book, reached the end, felt satisfied, started another one. I had a conversation with someone, a real conversation, not small talk, actual discussion, about books, about ideas. With Bernard at his bookstore, we talked for an hour, maybe more, about stories, about why they matter, about how fiction can be more true than fact. Sometimes, that was success, connection through ideas. I helped someone. An elderly woman dropped her groceries. I picked them up, carried them to her apartment. She thanked me, offered me cookies, homemade. I accepted one. Was terrible, dry and hard, but I ate it and smiled and thanked her. She was so pleased. That was success. Making someone happy. These small successes add up. They create a life, a good life, a life worth living, worth protecting, worth fighting for if necessary. I've thought about the future. My future. What does it look like? I don't know. I might keep doing this. Same job, same apartment, same routine. For years, decades, centuries. That's okay. I've learned to appreciate routine, to find comfort in repetition, to make peace with ordinary. Or I might change, move to a different city, get a different job, try something new. That's the beauty of freedom, the possibility of change. Nothing is fixed, nothing is permanent, except me. Ironically, I'm permanent. Everything else can change. I might meet someone, a partner, a companion, someone to share this life with. That terrifies me. The vulnerability of it, the intimacy, the inevitable revelation of what I am. But it also appeals to me. The idea of not being alone, of having someone who knows everything and stays anyway. That would be something. Or I might stay alone. That's okay too. Solitude has its benefits. Independence, freedom. No need to explain. No need to compromise. Just me and my choices and my small life. That's enough. Can be enough. Is enough currently. I might be discovered, dragged back to hell, punished for desertion. That's the fear that lives in the back of my mind. Constant, low level, always there. But I try not to dwell on it. Try to live as if I'm safe, as if this is permanent. Because maybe it is. Maybe no one's coming. Maybe I'm free. Freedom is strange when you've never had it before. It's exhilarating and terrifying. All these choices, all these possibilities, all this responsibility. In hell I had no choices. Just follow orders, process souls, exist in misery. Simple, clear, awful but clear. Here I have to choose everything. What to eat, what to wear, how to spend my time, what to care about, who to be. It's overwhelming sometimes, but it's also liberating. Every choice is mine. Every consequence is mine. Every day is mine. I've learned to make decisions. That was hard at first. Analysis paralysis. Too many options. But I've developed strategies. Go with my gut. Flip a coin if needed. Choose the option that seems most interesting. Don't overthink it. Decisions aren't permanent. Most of them anyway. You can change your mind. Try again. Do differently. That's another thing about being human. You can change your mind. You can evolve. Grow. Become different. You're not locked into who you were. Every day is a chance to be someone slightly different, to make different choices, to try new things, to become. I'm still becoming. 3 years in and I'm still figuring it out, still learning, still making mistakes, still discovering what it means to be me. This version of me, the former demon version, the trying to be human version, the somewhere in between version. Maybe that's okay. Maybe you're never finished becoming. Maybe it's always a work in progress. Maybe that's the point. The journey, not the destination. The trying, not the achieving. The living, not the having lived. I sound like a self-help book. That's embarrassing. But I've read a lot of self-help books. They're fascinating. All these humans trying to figure out how to live, how to be happy, how to find meaning, how to cope. Everyone's struggling. Everyone's searching. No one has the answers, but everyone's trying. That's beautiful in its way. The collective human struggle to understand existence, to make sense of meaninglessness, to create purpose from void, to find joy despite suffering, to connect despite loneliness, to keep going despite everything. That's what I admire most about humans. The perseverance, the stubborn refusal to give up, the ability to find reasons to keep living even when life is hard, even when it hurts, even when it seems pointless. You keep going. You endure. You survive. You even thrive. Sometimes I'm trying to do that too. Keep going. Endure. Survive. Maybe even thrive. Some days are easier than others. Some days I feel like I've figured it out. Like I know what I'm doing. Like I belong here. Other days I feel like an imposter. Like everyone can see through me. Like I'm one mistake away from exposure. But I keep going. Because what else is there to do? Give up? Go back? No. I made my choice. I'm committed. This is my life now. For better or worse. Mostly better. Definitely better than hell. That's the bar. Anything is better than hell. You're falling asleep. I can tell. Your breathing has changed. Slower. Deeper. Your eyes keep drooping. That's good. You need rest. This has been a lot. Processing all of this. Accepting it. Deciding what to do with it. That's exhausting. Sleep. I'll keep talking if it helps. My voice can be the background. The white noise. The lullaby. Strange lullaby. Demon rambling about existential crises and cookie recipes. But if it helps you sleep, I'll keep going. I'll tell you about spring. My first spring here. After that hard winter. When everything started growing again. I didn't expect it to affect me. Flowers are just flowers. Trees are just trees. But there was something about it. The renewal. The return of life. The promise that winter ends. Always ends. That's powerful. I walked through the park every day that spring, watched it transform, watched buds appear, watched them open, watched flowers bloom, the whole cycle, from barren to beautiful. Took weeks, slow transformation, gradual change, nothing dramatic, just steady progress toward beauty. The cherry blossoms were my favorite. For about 2 weeks, the trees were covered in pale, pink flowers. The whole park looked like something from a painting. People came from all over to see them, to take pictures, to sit under them, to celebrate beauty. Then they fell, the petals, drifting down like snow, covering the ground, covering the paths, covering everything. People walked through them. Kids played in them. Someone told me it was called hanami, a Japanese tradition, celebrating the temporary nature of beauty, finding meaning in impermanence. That struck me. Finding meaning in impermanence. That's the opposite of hell. In hell, everything is permanent, eternal. That's the torture. Nothing ends. Nothing changes. Nothing dies. But here everything is temporary. And that makes it precious. That makes it meaningful. That makes it beautiful. The cherry blossoms fell and I felt sad, which surprised me. Sad about flowers dying, but also grateful. Grateful I got to see them. Grateful they existed at all. Grateful for the brief beauty. That's what it means to be alive, I think. Feeling things, even sad things, especially sad things. I collected some petals, pressed them in a book. They're still there, dried and fragile, but preserved. A reminder of that spring, of that transformation, of my first experience with seasonal beauty, with nature's cycles, with the passage of time marked by flowers. Time is different here, moves different, feels different. In hell, time was meaningless. One day the same as the next. Nothing to mark it, nothing to measure it by. But here time matters. Seasons change. Years pass. Things happen. Time becomes real, tangible, finite even. Not for me. I'm still functionally immortal as far as I know. But for everyone else, time is running out. Always. Every moment is one fewer moment left. That should be depressing. But it's not. It makes moments matter. Makes choices important. Makes life urgent in a way that's actually energizing. I've watched people age. Not dramatically. 3 years isn't that long. But I notice small changes. Gray hairs appearing. Wrinkles deepening. The way people move a little slower. The way they talk about getting older. About time passing. About wanting to make the most of. That awareness of mortality shapes everything. The way humans live. The choices they make. The things they prioritize. It's always there. The knowledge that this ends. That everything ends. And somehow they keep going anyway. Make plans. Have hopes. Build futures. Despite knowing those futures are limited. That's courage. Real courage. Not the absence of fear. But acting despite fear. Living despite death. Loving despite loss. Creating despite destruction. That's what makes humans remarkable. Not their capacity for evil, which I saw plenty of in hell, but their capacity for hope, for perseverance, for beauty despite everything. That I'm trying to learn that courage, that hope, that insistence on meaning despite meaninglessness. It doesn't come naturally to me. Demons aren't built for hope. We're built for despair, for suffering, for eternal punishment. But I'm learning. Slowly. Imperfectly. But learning. Your breathing has evened out completely now. You're asleep. Really asleep. Good. You needed that. Tomorrow will be easier. Everything's easier after sleep. After rest. After your brain has had time to process. To integrate. To make sense of nonsense. I'll stay here. Keep watch. Make sure you're safe. It's the least I can do. You listened to me. Accepted my truth. Didn't run screaming. Didn't call an exorcist. Didn't do any of the things I feared you might do. You just listened. Sat with me. Drank tea. Let me talk. That's kindness. Real kindness. Giving someone your time. Your attention. Your acceptance. Even when they're strange. Even when they're other. Even when they're demon. That's the best of humanity. That's what I want to emulate. That's what I aspire to. The night continues outside. City never really sleeps. There's always noise. Always movement. Always something happening somewhere. But here in this apartment there's peace, quiet, rest. You sleeping on the couch. Me watching from the chair. The city glow. Through the windows. The radiator clanking its rhythm. The building settling around us. This is home. Not the apartment specifically. Though I like the apartment. But this feeling. This sense of belonging. Of safety. Of being known and accepted anyway. This is what I left hell to find. This moment. Right here. Right now. This quiet connection with another being. Was worth it. All of it. The fear. The uncertainty. The mistakes. The loneliness. All of it was worth it for moments like this. For the possibility of connection. For the chance to be seen. For the freedom to choose. For the ability to sit in a small apartment, drinking tea, watching over someone who knows what I am. The demon who got tired of hell found what he was looking for. Not in grand adventures or dramatic transformations, but in small moments, quiet nights, simple kindnesses, ordinary days. That's where meaning lives. In the everyday. In the mundane. In the supposedly insignificant moments that actually are everything. I'm grateful. That's what I'm feeling. Gratitude. For this night. For this conversation. For your acceptance. For the chance to tell my story. For the tea. For the radiator. For this city. For this life. For everything. Even the hard parts. Maybe especially the hard parts. Because they make the good parts matter. Tomorrow you'll wake up. You'll remember. You'll have to decide. But tonight you're sleeping. Peacefully. And I'm here. Keeping watch. Being present. Being protective. Being the demon. Who quit hell and learned to care about humans. Who learned to care about you. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything I never knew I wanted until I found it. The demon who got tired of hell will guard your door until morning comes. And when it does, there will be fresh coffee waiting. That's my final promise. Let me tell you about rain. Not that first rain when I arrived, but rain in general. The way it sounds, the way it smells, the way it changes everything. I've become obsessed with rain. Hell, if precipitation happened, it was blood or acid or something equally unpleasant. But here, it's just water. Clean water falling from the sky. And it's beautiful. I love standing by the window when it rains, watching drops race down the glass, listening to the rhythm on the roof, the way the city sounds different in rain, muffled, softer, like the World is being washed clean. There's a word for the smell of rain. Petrichor. I learned that from a documentary. The smell of rain on dry earth is one of my favorite smells now. I've learned to love thunderstorms too. The drama of them. The violence. The way the sky splits open and roars. The way lightning illuminates everything for a split second. Humans are often scared of thunderstorms. I understand why. They're powerful, dangerous, but I find them thrilling. Reminders that nature is vast and uncontrollable. That despite all human technology and civilization, there are still forces that do whatever they want. I watched a documentary about storm chasers once. People who drive toward tornadoes, who put themselves in danger to witness these massive weather events. I understood them immediately. The desire to witness something bigger than yourself, something sublime and terrible, something that makes you feel small and alive at the same time. I haven't chased any storms. That seems excessive even for me, but I understand the impulse, the need to confront something vast, to test yourself against it, to feel that electric aliveness that comes from being in the presence of raw power. I've learned about seasons in ways I didn't expect, how they affect everything, not just weather but mood, energy, activities, the way humans bundle up in winter and emerge in spring like bears from hibernation, the way summer makes people lazy and languid, the way fall makes them contemplative and nostalgic. I've learned that seasonal affective disorder is real, that humans can get depressed from lack of sunlight, that winter darkness affects them physically and mentally. I bought one of those light boxes, not for me. I don't need it, but for the principle, for the solidarity. I sit in front of it, sometimes during dark winter mornings, pretending it helps. Maybe it does. Placebo is powerful. I've learned about food in ways that go beyond cooking. The culture of food, the politics of food, the way what you eat says something about who you are. I've tried so many cuisines: Ethiopian, Vietnamese, Lebanese, Korean, Mexican, Indian, each one a window into a different culture, different values, different approaches to nourishment and pleasure. I've learned that sharing food is sacred, more than just eating. It's communion, connection. When someone cooks for you, they're giving you their time, their effort, their care. When you eat together, you're creating shared experience, shared memory. That's why holidays revolve around food. Why celebrations include meals. Food is love made tangible. I've tried to cook for others a few times. Brought cookies to the office. Made a casserole for Tom when he was sick. Each time felt significant, like I was participating in this ancient human ritual of caring through feeding, of showing affection through nourishment. Mattered more than the quality of the food. It was the gesture, the thought, the care. I've learned about music in deeper ways too. Started paying attention to lyrics, to what songs are actually saying. Not just the melody but the meaning, the stories they tell, the emotions they express. The way a good song can capture something you felt but couldn't articulate. I made a playlist. That's a very human thing apparently. Curating songs that mean something to you, that express who you are or how you feel or what you're going through. Mine is strange, eclectic. Songs about leaving, about transformation, about not belonging, about finding home, about being different. My own story told through other people's words. I listen to it when I'm alone, when I need to remember why I left, what I'm doing here. Oh, I'm trying to be. Music as reminder, as motivation, as companion. I understand now why humans are so attached to their music. It's not just sound, it's identity, it's emotion, connection to moments and memories and meanings. I've discovered podcasts that's been revelatory. People talking about everything, anything, history, science, comedy, true crime, philosophy, stories. I listen while I cook, while I clean, while I run. Voices in my ear, keeping me company, teaching me things, making me think. There's one about philosophy I particularly like. Two people discussing big questions. What is the good life? What is consciousness? What is meaning? They never answer definitively. Just explore, discuss, consider different perspectives. That's refreshing. Not having answers, just having good questions, just thinking carefully about complicated things. I've learned about the internet more deeply. Social media, forums, communities, people, connecting across distances, sharing ideas, supporting each other, also arguing, being cruel, being kind. The full spectrum of human interaction compressed into comments and posts and threads. I don't participate much. Mostly I lurk, watch, learn. See how humans interact when they're semi-anonymous, when they feel safe to be more themselves, or more their worst selves. Fascinating and disturbing in equal measure. The capacity for both kindness and cruelty, often from the same people, often in the same thread. I've learned about memes, cultural units that spread and evolve, inside jokes on a massive scale. I don't always understand them, the references, the context, but I appreciate the creativity, the way humans take something and remix it and make it their own. Collaborative nature of it. Everyone building on everyone else's ideas. I've learned about fandom. People obsessing over shows or books or bands or games. Creating art and writing stories and making costumes and building communities around. Shared love of a thing. It's beautiful. The passion. The dedication. The way loving something can connect you to strangers who love the same thing. I've learned that humans need stories. Desperately. Need to see themselves reflected. Need to escape themselves. Need to understand themselves. Need to imagine other possibilities. Stories aren't frivolous. They're essential. They're how you make sense of chaos. How you find meaning. How you connect. I've read so many stories now. Fantasy where magic is real and evil can be defeated. Science fiction where humanity spreads to the stars or destroys itself or transcends. Literary fiction where nothing much happens but everything means something. Romance where people find each other despite obstacles. Mystery where justice prevails. Horror where fear is confronted. Each genre offers something different, different lens, different way of seeing, different truth. Don't have a favorite genre. I like them all for different reasons, for what they offer, for what they reveal about human hopes and fears and dreams. I've learned that writing is hard. I tried it once, keeping a journal, writing down my thoughts, my experiences, but it felt too exposing, too permanent, so I stopped. But I appreciate writers more now. The effort required, the vulnerability, the craft, taking thoughts and feelings and experiences and turning them into something others can understand. That's magic, real magic. I've learned about art more broadly. Paintings, sculpture, photography, dance, theater. The ways humans create. All the ways they express what can't be expressed in words. Been to museums now. Stood in front of paintings. Tried to understand them. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. But I always feel something. There was a painting I saw once. Abstract. Just colors and shapes. But it made me feel. Something I couldn't name. Something about longing. About searching. About not finding. About continuing anyway. I stood there for 20 minutes. Just looking. Just feeling. Just being present with it. That's what art does. Create space for feeling. I've learned about theater. Saw a play. Small production in a tiny theater. The actors were so close I could see them sweat. Could hear them breathe. The intimacy of it was powerful. These people embodying other people. Telling a story. Making it real for a few hours. Then, curtain. Then gone. Temporary magic. I've learned that all art is temporary in its way. Even paintings fade. Even sculptures erode. Even books crumble eventually. Nothing lasts forever. Except demons, ironically. But the art isn't the object. It's the experience. The moment of connection between creator and observer. That moment is brief. But it's everything. I've learned about sports. Not just watching but understanding why people care. It's not about the game itself. It's about belonging. About tribal identity. About shared experience. About having something to care about together. That's why people paint their faces and wear team colors and scream at televisions. It's communion through competition. I went to a baseball game once. Bought a cheap ticket. Sat in the nosebleed section. Watched people more than the game. The way they reacted. The collective groan. The collective cheer. The way they were connected through this shared experience. Strangers becoming we. Through fandom. That's powerful. I've learned about money. How it shapes everything. Who has it? Who doesn't? What it enables. What it prevents. The stress of not having enough. The privilege of having plenty. Have enough. Barely. But enough. I understand now what a luxury that is. To not worry. Constantly about rent. Food. Bills. So many people worry constantly. Live on the edge. 1. Emergency from disaster. I've learned that poverty is expensive. That being poor costs more than being comfortable. That the cheapest shoes wear out fastest. That late fees pile up. That not having money means paying more for everything. The irony is cruel. The system is designed to keep people down. To make climbing out nearly impossible. I've tried to help when I can. Quietly. Anonymously. Leave extra tip. Buy groceries for the food. Bank. Give to people on the street. It's not much. Doesn't solve anything. But it's what I can do. Small actions. Small kindnesses. Small attempts to make things slightly less terrible for someone. I've learned about privilege. What I have as someone passing as human. As someone who doesn't face discrimination for visible differences. As someone who can blend in. Walk through the world without harassment. Without suspicion. Without constant low-level threat. That's privilege. That's what most people don't have. I've watched people be treated differently. Based on skin color, gender presentation, disability, accent, clothing. All these arbitrary markers that shouldn't matter but do. Watch them be followed in stores, ignored in restaurants, dismissed in conversations, treated as lesser, as suspicious, as other. It's made me angry. That capacity for anger is new. In hell, anger was constant but diffuse. Here it's specific, directed, righteous. I see injustice and I feel it. Feel the wrongness of it. Want to fix it. Can't fix it. But feel it anyway. I've learned that systems are built to benefit some and harm others. That inequality isn't accident. It's design. That changing it requires more than individual kindness. Requires collective action. Requires dismantling and rebuilding. Requires so much more than I can do alone. But I try anyway. In small ways. Challenge assumptions. Speak up when safe to do so. Support businesses owned by marginalized people. Educate myself. Listen. Learn. It's not enough. It's never enough. But it's something. It's what I can do. And doing something is better than doing nothing. I've learned about protest. Saw one once. March passing by. People carrying signs. Chanting. Demanding change. Demanding justice. The energy of it was electric. Collective anger. Channeled into collective action. The belief that things can change. Must change. Will change. If enough people demand it. I didn't join. Wasn't sure I should. Wasn't sure it was my place. But I watched. And I understood. The power of people coming together. Raising voices. Refusing to accept unacceptable things. That's hope. Active hope. Hope that does something. I've learned about environmentalism. Climate change. The planet warming. Species dying. Ecosystems collapsing. Humans doing this to themselves. To their only home. Is baffling. Suicidal. And yet it continues. Because systems. Because profits. Because short-term thinking. Because denial. I've made changes. Small ones. Recycle. Compost. Walk more. Buy less. It's not enough. Individual action isn't enough when systems are the problem. But it's something. It's being conscious. Being intentional. Being part of the solution instead of part of the problem. I've learned that the future is uncertain. That things could get much worse. That collapse is possible. That humans might destroy themselves. But also that humans are resilient, adaptable, creative. That solutions exist. That change is possible. That hope is still reasonable. Barely, but still. I've learned to hold contradictions. To accept that things can be terrible and beautiful simultaneously. That the world can be broken and worth fighting for. That humans can be awful and amazing. That nothing is simple. Everything is complicated. And that's okay. Complexity is reality. Simplicity is lie. I've learned about health. Physical and mental. How they're connected. How caring for your body affects your mind and vice versa. I don't have a human body, not really, but I mimic its needs. Sleep. Food. Movement. Not because I need them to survive, but because they help me feel human. Help me fit in. Help me understand. I've learned that mental health is health. That depression is real. That anxiety is real. That trauma is real. That healing is possible but not linear. That asking for help is strength. That medication isn't weakness. That therapy works. That taking care of your mind is just as important as taking care of your body. I've seen people struggle. Watched Tom go through a rough patch. Didn't know what to do. Offered to listen. He didn't take me up on it. But I offered. That mattered. just offering, being present, being available. Sometimes that's all you can do. I've learned about addiction, how it captures people, how it destroys lives. Watch someone at the shelter struggle with it, the cycle, the relapses, the desperate attempts to quit, the way systems fail addicts, punish instead of help, make recovery harder instead of easier. I've learned that we're all one bad day from crisis, one accident, one illness, one loss. The safety net is threadbare. The margin for error is small. Luck matters more than people want to admit. Circumstances matter. Context matters. Individual responsibility is real, but it's not everything. I've learned about grief. Watched people lose loved ones. The way it changes them. The way they carry it. The way they continue despite it. The way love persists beyond death. The way memory keeps people alive in a way. The way grief is love with nowhere to go. I've never experienced that kind of loss. I've never loved someone that deeply. Never had anyone to lose. But I've witnessed it, watched its effects, understood its weight. The way it never really leaves, just becomes part of you, part of who you are. I've learned about aging, how it's both physical and existential. Bodies slowing, minds sometimes too, but also accumulation of wisdom, experience, perspective. The way older people often care less what others think, have learned what matters and what doesn't. I've made peace with things. I've talked to elderly people, at the food bank, in the park, in coffee shops. They've taught me things about resilience, about change, about how different the world was, about how much they've survived. Wars, depressions, social upheaval. They persevered. They're still here. That's remarkable. I've learned that every generation thinks it has it hardest, that current problems feel unprecedented. But humans have always faced problems, have always persevered. That's not to diminish current struggles, just to say that humans are tough, tougher than they think, capable of more than they imagine. I've learned about parenting, watching people with kids, the exhaustion, the worry, the joy, the way they try so hard to do right by these small humans they've created, the way they fail, sometimes, the way they keep trying anyway. The love so fierce it's almost frightening that I've seen parents at playgrounds, patient beyond reason, explaining things for the 100th time, wiping noses, tying shoes, teaching, guiding, protecting, the mundane work of raising humans, the endless thankless work. They do it because they love, because they chose this, because their children matter more than anything. I've learned that family is complicated, that it can be source of greatest joy and greatest pain, that blood doesn't always mean connection, that chosen family is just as valid, that you can love people and struggle with them, that relationships require work, that nothing is automatic. I've learned about friendship too, how it develops, how it's maintained, how it can fade or deepen, how it requires effort from both sides, how it's based on reciprocity and trust and time, how it's precious when real, how rare real friendship is that I have something like friends now. Tom, Bernard, Sarah from the food bank, the other former demons I occasionally see, people who know me, who I know, who I could call if I needed something. Probably, maybe, that's friendship, or close enough. I've learned that loneliness is epidemic, that so many people feel isolated, disconnected, alone, despite being surrounded by others. That modern life is designed in ways that separate people. That community has been eroded. That connection requires intention now, requires effort, requires showing up. I show up to the food bank, to the coffee shop, to the bookstore, being present, being available, being someone people recognize, something. It's building community in small ways, being part of the fabric instead of separate from it. I've learned about rituals, how they structure life, how they provide meaning, how they mark transitions, birthdays, holidays, graduations, weddings, funerals, the ceremonies that punctuate existence, that say this moment matters, that gather people, that create shared memory. I haven't participated in many rituals. I'm an outsider to most, but I observe, I appreciate, understand their importance, the way they bind communities, the way they transmit culture, the way they make abstract things concrete. I've learned about tradition, how it can be comforting or constraining, how it connects you to the past, how it can also trap you there, how the balance matters, honoring tradition while allowing evolution, respecting what was while creating what is. I've learned that humans are meaning-making machines. You find meaning everywhere. Create it when it doesn't exist. Can't help it. Need it. Stories, rituals, beliefs, values, attempts to make sense of senseless existence. All ways of saying this matters. I matter. We matter. I'm trying to make meaning too. That's what this whole thing is. Leaving hell. Building a life. Learning to be human. It's meaning creation. Narrative building. Choosing what matters. Deciding who to be. That's the fundamental human act. Making meaning from chaos. And I've chosen this. This life. This existence. These small daily choices. This attempt to be better than what I was. This effort to participate in human community. This stubborn insistence that it matters, that I can change, that who you are isn't fixed, that becoming is possible. Your breathing is so steady now. Deep sleep. REM probably. Dreams. I wonder what you're dreaming. How your brain is processing this night. This revelation. This conversation. Whether you'll remember it all in the morning. Whether you'll think it was a dream itself. Whether you'll wake up and question your memory. It's real though. All of it. I'm real. This conversation happened. You know now. There's no unknowing. But maybe that's okay. Maybe knowing is better than suspecting. Better than sensing something off but not understanding what. Better than the vague unease of unexplained strangeness. Now you know. Your neighbor is a demon. Former demon. Reformed demon? Demon in recovery? The terminology is imprecise. But you know. And tomorrow you'll decide what that means. How to proceed. Whether to stay or go. Whether to accept or reject. Whether to keep my secret or expose it. I trust you'll make the right choice. For you. Whatever that is. I've told you everything. Given you all the information. The decision is yours. That's how it should be. You have agency. You have choice. You have power. I'm just hoping you'll use it kindly. The night is deeper now. That late night, early morning space. When time feels suspended. When the world is quietest. When anything seems possible. This is when I do my best. Thinking. My clearest thinking. When the noise of day fades and I can hear myself. I'm thinking now about how far I've come. 3 years ago, I stood in an alley in the rain, newly arrived, knowing nothing about how to be human. And now look, I have an apartment, job, hobbies, a routine, people who recognize me, a life, a real actual life. It's not perfect. I'm still figuring things out, still making mistakes, still learning, but it's mine. Built it, choice by choice, day by day, small action by small action. That's achievement. That's success. Not dramatic, not impressive, but real. And tonight I trusted someone with the truth. Let someone see me, really see me. That's growth too. Vulnerability, openness, risk. The opposite of hiding, the opposite of pretending, the opposite of the safe small life I could have lived forever. Thank you for listening, for staying, for not running, for giving me this chance to be honest, to be seen, to be known. That's a gift. You might not realize how significant it is, but it is. Be seen and accepted anyway. That's everything. The demon who got tired of hell will guard your door until morning comes. And when it does, when light creeps through the windows and the city wakes and life continues, there will be fresh coffee waiting. The best I can make. My specialty. French press. Good beans. Careful preparation. Made with care. For you. For us. For this strange new chapter where you know and I don't have to hide and we figure out together what comes next. That's my final promise. And I keep my promises,